Warning, this video contains heavy truths, and truth can be ugly. Hello everyone, me again here. So, before the big Xenoblade Chronicles power scaling project continues on the channel, I thought it'd be nice to have one or two smaller videos for the beginning of the year. And what better way to start than some timely versus battles, this being a topic many YouTubers have already talked about, but I thought I'd give my own, hopefully more definitive take on the matter at hand. This video will be about hedgehogs, those cute yet armed to the teeth freaks of nature, and two famous ones at that. I'm of course talking about Sonic and Shadow, to celebrate the success of the third Sonic movie. Man, video game movies.
Since Mario movie ended up receiving more ass than anything ever, even the so-called highest-grossing fodder animated films like live-action Lion King being proven second-rate.
And its unwanted sequel's body count being handily surpassed by Sonic's own current sequel, we have officially proved that for the first time ever, video game movies are credible sources of good things and money. For like 6th time. Then again, Forever Sonic and Last of Us hitting home, there was Borderlands and Halo, proving that equilibrium is the only thing that'll win in the end. But Sonic 3 was good. Mostly I was happy with portrayal of Shadow and his rivalry with Sonic, and thankfully they didn't go blue-washing any black people. Really tired of that shit, Hollywood. Anyway, all of that aside, this video is not gonna be about Paramount's Sonic movie universe, nor the versions of the characters from those movies. Today, we are pitting the mainline game canon versions of the heroic Blue Blur and the Jet Black Ultimate Lifeform against each other, to determine who really is the stronger between the two. Now I know this matchup is like pineapple on pizza. You're gonna have opinions on it based on past feats both characters have performed. So what I'm gonna do here is not look at their respective kits and abilities, but
Strictly analyzing their historical encounters and other instances where one has displayed superiority over the other.
and determine not only who is the overall strongest hog off of that, but also at what points in time, game by game.
With that rambling out of the way, let's turn back the clock to the start of the rivalry.
Starting the rivalry off, we are introduced to Shadow in Sonic Adventure 2, when their recently freed Ultimate Lifeform starts a crime spree to gain the 7 Chaos Emeralds, authorities mistaking him for Sonic, either because he left no witnesses, moved too fast for them, or everyone else in the world is colorblind. I guess I can't blame them. We do live in the unoriginal world of doppelgangers. I swear it's the same with boxing kangaroos. Nevertheless, in this game there are two encounters where Sonic and Shadow fight. First in the jungle in Prison Isle, where both seem to be evenly matched, puffing and puffing till they have to leave, making the match inconclusive. The second, much more iconic match takes place atop Space Colony Arc. Like previously, the player does the fight in both hero and dark routes, with the controlled character triumphing. This is not indicative of the winner, as both routes follow the exactly same canon storyline, they just have different perspective characters. It's true that you can make Sonic win if you control him, same for Shadow, but we do not see the direct aftermath of the match, unlike in the first fight where both are still standing. However, true victor can be inferred despite the end result not being shown. It's Sonic. Sonic was racing to stop the Eclipse cannon from firing, and what do we see in both routes? The cannon is disabled, and Sonic is shown responsible. Shadow nowhere to be seen till the last story, and no way Shadow suddenly threw the fight or whatever. You know he's way too prideful for that. In the memorable talking session prior to the boss fight, he even states he intends to kill Sonic, as at this point he still wants the world to be destroyed via the cannon. Eggman sneaking away to insert the last emerald into it and making the Ark crash into Earth was backup plan Shadow may not even have known about. So this is our first clear-cut victory, right? Well, at the time Sonic was in possession of fake Chaos Emerald, which would give him an amp, as the emeralds are known to do. He's even shown using it for chaos control in fight. The reason why I think this doesn't matter for the outcome is because the emerald is known to be so weak that Sonic shouldn't even be able to use chaos control at all, according to Shadow himself. So its effects were likely only slight. Plus, narrative elements are stacked in Sonic's favor here. We get more of this when the two Hedgehogs team up against the final hazard and use Chaos Control to return the Space Colony Arc back to its former place. Shadow completely exhausts himself in the effort and falls down to the earth below, presumed dead. Again, writers think falling from orbit is some hot shit. On top of that, there's lines of dialogue during the boss that indicate Shadow is having real tough time and weakening, while there is no such lines for Sonic.
Sonic, I can't keep this up. Hurry!
Shadow! Your power's getting weaker! Hey, are you okay?
It goes as far as him saying this.
Sonic, I think I've discovered what the ultimate life form is. It might be you.
Sonic says something similar about Shadow in the last cutscene. Theories aside as to what the true meaning of these lines are, Sonic seems to be simply reflecting on Shadow's life and his ultimate decision, while Shadow's line reads more like admission of defeat, him finally accepting Sonic as an equal or even superior. Ultimate life form in his mind is a title reserved only for him, as per his pride over his power stemming from being created as such.
But Mario Ignited! This can't be! Shadow is the ultimate immortal alien being made with special powers, while Sonic is just some guy!
Indeed. Even the developers have admitted that Shadow was made to be Sonic's superior in every way.
Wait, what? Really?
Of course not! That statement doesn't exist, I just like f***ing with you all. For those who genuinely use this argument over actual feats, just stop. That regular guy Sonic, if he indeed is one, regularly beats up all sorts of godlike beings. An ultimate weapon or whatnot is just par for the course. This is Sonic's win for sure. So, that's the beginning of the rivalry in Adventure 2. You'd think the narrative would have been Shadow being stronger than Sonic initially, and him having to overcome the gap like your top 10 best rivalries type shit. As it sort of was in the movie, but no, cause Sonic is not fodder like those other MCs. You know how there is that guy that's undoubtedly the strongest guy around in their worlds that no one can beat? Well, since the beginning of this franchise, Sonic has been that guy. Shadow sliding into his DMs is supposed to give him equal for the first time, not a wall to climb. He ain't like the other rivals, you know. Let's see if this treatment continues in Team Sonic and Team Dark briefly swap hands here. However, like all team battles in the game, the canonical victory is inconclusive. The team you play as wins, but canon aftermath is never shown. Inconclusive. In the last story, after Metal Sonic has transformed, he is deemed too strong for even the combined powers of all the 12 characters there, super form being needed to defeat him. Shadow agrees to let Team Sonic do the job, and holds off Metal Madness along with the rest of the teams, seemingly conceding that Sonic is the stronger between the two, and thus better suited for the role. And no, despite Shadow being heavily amnesiac during this point, he is well aware of his own abilities and even emeralds. He uses them all just the same as in the other games, and even mentions super forms by name. Don't know why super form has a charge time in this game, but we needed all other teams to do something before the true final boss, though this is not definitive proof. Let's put this at inconclusive, but the feat can be interpreted to favor Sonic. Alrighty, next up is Shadow's turn to get the top billing, his very own game, an overheated gem, though oh boy does it have problems.
This is like taking candy from a baby, which is fine by me.
We start the debate strong in Shadow's favor, like holy hell, Sonic gets clapped in the intro before the game even starts. It's bad, bro. Shadow is so based in this game, he beats Sonic many times, though they are just different root versions of the same encounter. So, in conclusion,
Shadow the Hedgehog is the most powerful hedgehog in the world! I fucking rule! This is who I am!
hold on, wait. No, that's not it. Wait just a minute. None of the endings in this game's regular story mode are truly canon. Eggman didn't die, Black Doom has another freaking form, and Shadow's not gonna lead Robot Uprising nor destroy the planet. Apart from the last story, none of that shit happened. In different routes, Shadow wrecks every faction in this game, but what actually canonically went down during Black Arm's invasion has never been revealed to us, lol. And Shadow beating Sonic in the intro is doubly non-canon because, well, that's just a f***ing intro. There's no scene like that in the game, we don't count that, and even if we did, the circumstances are unknown.
But Mario did 90! Those endings are all alternate possibilities! The game's saying that they could happen even if they canonically didn't. You just trying to kill Steel Shadow. Black Lives Matter.
Enough of this nonsense. Every life matters. Alright. For the sake of saying that the encounters against Sonic could realistically happen, let's actually analyze if Shadow beat his rival fair and square here. At this point, Shadow had 6 of those
Damn!
Chaos Emeralds. He's definitely juiced the up. Yes, it's true, Shadow has stated that he wants to beat Sonic on his own terms, but he has never been afraid to use the emeralds on them. That's literally the first thing he does in Sonic Adventure 2. Second factor is the Diablo, commanded by Commander Tower, who was robbed in those movies, which might have interfered with Sonic's fight rather than helping him. Thirdly, you can't actually beat Sonic in that battle. He has infinite health, and you have to focus on Diablo, which may support the second point. All of these can be argued against as well, so I guess let's just give the point to Shadow, since at the end of the day, Sonic is down for the count, he had help, and Shadow's victory, despite being non-canon, is never attributed to Emeralds. But remember, this is all pretty debatable. Next in the timeline is Sonic Battle, hidden treasure of the Game Boy Advance. Unfortunately for Shadow, this game destroys the idea of him being Sonic's equal in like every possible way. Big time. Like, if Shadow could defeat Sonic during Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic must have grinded hard to surpass him. Like, in this game, he is that guy. They glaze him up so freaking much here. He reads every foe like a book, and even after Emerald, the goated, sort of point of view character for this game, beats up everybody and obtains all their abilities, Sonic just says he's got ways to go, and seems like he wasn't even defeated by him. Meanwhile, Shadow, well, he's definitely up there in this game, but not on that level. Okay, let's do this chronologically. Sonic and Shadow do have only one 1v1, which is inconclusive. Sonic winning due to Shadow still recovering from his injuries he received earlier from jumping to some robots. He is not at full strength before his own dedicated chapter, but afterwards they do have encounter that can be used to determine who has surpassed who, both of those being their performance against Emerald. After Emerald has gained all the 7 Chaos Emeralds and reached full maturity, Shadow fights him 1v1 at full power. Emerald defeats him, leaving him gasping for air, while the Gizoid is eager for more. Emerald then beats all the characters to obtain even greater measure of their skills, and fights and beats Shadow again, who concedes they are equal, while Emerald claims he's just warming up. Emerald then fights both Sonic and Shadow, winning this time around as well. Afterwards, Emerald looks at Eggman's final Egg Blaster, destroying numerous stars, copies the power of that, and goes haywire, aiming the weapon at Earth to destroy it. Sonic confronts his basically surrogate son, and in order to save him from his original malicious programming, has to fight him. Damn, this game goes hard. Emerald at this point possesses abilities of all characters and 7 emeralds, as well as the power-up from Egg Blaster. Earlier, Shadow made multiple concessions about Gizoid's true power, how it's beyond anything he can imagine. So it's no wonder when he leaves everything to Sonic, and he's the only one strong enough to challenge Emerald. And despite all that power and all that hype, Sonic triumphs. And he not just wins, he wins in 30 seconds before the cannon fires. Like, holy fucking shit! Sonic fucking folds Emerald here. He must have held back like crazy before. So at this point, while Sonic is king of the ring, Shadow is about as helpful as used up Lollipop. At least someone might get a few licks in. 06 had no direct Sonic-Shadow rivalry, but they do fight same people. First one is our third Super Hedgehog, Silver, who desperately needs a game of his own. Get on with it already, Sega. Believing Sonic to be the reason his future is in ruins, he attacks him with deadly force. First fight seems to end inconclusively, as Sonic gets distracted by Elise getting kidnapped for like 15th time, but otherwise the two seemed equal. Their second fight goes much more on Silver's favor, as he's able to catch Sonic in his telekinesis, seemingly fair and square. Sonic's saved by Shadow, however, who in turn fights Silver to a draw, both exhausted before they start using any Chaos Emerald abilities. So it kinda looks like Sonic's below Silver, who's equal to Shadow. There's also a little infamous scene that you all might be thinking about now. Mephiles wipe-checking Sonic into back, while Shadow fought that guy like twice. Granted, both times Shadow had help. But in the end of second Mephiles fight, when faced by dozens of clones, Shadow is able to solo them all. Though those might not have been perfect clones, since in gameplay the fakes disappear in one hit. On this line of work I learned a bunch of things they don't teach you in Christian summer camp. One of those things is that it's never that easy. Sonic was heavily off guard and never fought Mephiles in fair game, so it's unclear if he could have done better than Shadow. Regardless, both of these scenarios definitely make Shadow look better, but that's about it. Despite the names of these games, little on-screen fighting happens between serious rivals. People mostly just compete on destroying robots or by racing or so on. And even when actual fight happens, canonical winner isn't specified. You can win with any of the characters. I don't know what exactly everyone's problem in these games are. Like, everyone has a stick up their ass and just has to challenge and try to one-up anyone they meet instead of teaming up immediately. I guess Sonic is implied to be fastest among the cast, but that's literally always the case. So not much indicative of any strength hierarchy. Yeah, that's about that. Moving on. While Shadow does not directly appear in Secret Rings, we are told something about his dynamic with Sonic. In order to save her universe of Arabian Nights from being destroyed by evil genie, Eraser Jin, genie of the ring Shahara, travels to Sonic's world, as according to her, Sonic is the only person capable of defeating Eraser, which he does. Shahara has magic that allows her to know this, and her world basically has a counterpart for every Sonic character anyway. So Sonic being able to beat Eraser, but Shadow not being even brought up in the conversation is telling. The sequel is even more blatant. Sonic and the Black Knight has Sonic travel to world of Arthurian mythology, where his friends' counterparts are the Knights of the Round Table. Shadow, of course, being Sir Lancelot, the ultimate knight, whom Sonic fights and defeats. However, that fight didn't count, as Sonic is stated to have gotten lucky and Lancelot was not going all out. But there's an optional boss, Lancelot Returns, where his full power is showcased, in what I can only describe as the developers' attempt to make the player throw their Wiimote into a wall in rage. Sonic defeats this version of Lancelot too, but if that's not canon enough for you, Sonic can be placed above him off of beating King Arthur, Lancelot's superior. And Sonic also stands up to Dark Queen Merlina, when the Round Table members conceded that they'd have no hope of defeating her, which is a part of the narrative of Sonic becoming ideal knight in the end of his journey, whom the Round Tables recognize as their superior, part of which is strength. Yeah, you kneel before your master, you cheap bastard. In Sonic Chronicles, Forgotten Sonic RPG, Sonic fights Shadow again like in good old times, first making him retreat by fighting him along with his entire party, and afterward he solos him. The reason why this can't be considered an instance of Sonic being flat out stronger is because he received way too much help in the first round, and in the second one, Shadow may have been beat up from the first fight, while Sonic could have been relatively fine, as damage Shadow would have dished out would have been aimed at his friends too. Granted, the game itself has no indication of Shadow having weakened for that 1v1, and he even says Sonic's gotten stronger than their last rodeo, but that could mean a lot of things. Inconclusive, but slightly in Sonic's favor. Look, I'm not here to argue which version of Sonic Colors is canon, DS or the home console version, or if both of them are. Just know that this comes from the DS version, since Sega decided that using such a big cast of great characters was such a bother in home consoles. Shadow straight up implies to Omega that Sonic is his better at the end of the day. Granted, the line could just as easily be saying that he's happy to let him do all the work this time around, or it could mean both. Regardless, this one favors Sonic. Moving on. Ah yes, the big one. Passable remake and the goated new game starring Shadow. Likely intentionally hilarious title aside, this game has a bunch of Sonic on Shadow action, including 1v1 fight between the two. Sonic in Generations is of course shown to have become stronger over the years, as he can beat foes he previously needed help of Superform or his friends to defeat, like Perfect Chaos or Egg Emperor. He also trashes Metal Sonic, whoops Silver, and even overcomes Shadow, seemingly without use of any emeralds. He is that guy. Shadow Generations retcons the interaction between Sonic and Shadow a bit. Shadow's loss seemingly made to be thanks to him refusing to use his new Doom powers, or honestly pretty lame reason, which distracted him. In the cutscene it looks like he's one-tapped, but we know this was an entire boss fight, so it's no biggie. It's implied that he could have won if he used his new abilities, but this is unproven, rendering this match inconclusive. Shadow's own power progression is also nothing to scoff at. He straight up mows down Metal Overlord and Devil Doom, both characters that previously needed Superform level characters to beat, a feat above Sonic defeating Perfect Chaos around this same time period. Side note, I just love how Metal Overlord boss shits on Metal Sonic who has zero death battle. Nice touch, Sega. The version of Devil Doom Shadow fought here was also far stronger than the one he fought as Super Shadow, as not only did he transform further, but he likely was expecting to fight Super Shadow of Adventure era, and was still confident he could beat and take Shadow's body. And still, all current Shadow needs to defeat him is Amp from his Doom powers and 1 Chaos Emerald. That ass. However, this is inconclusive as well. Definitely in Shadow's favor, since his feats are better, but we don't know how Sonic compares to Neo Devil Doom or Doom Shadow. Like, maybe he could have beaten Metal Overlord even easier or something, or he could be an ant compared to all that. We don't know. On top of all that, Shadow loses his new Venom symbiote abilities as they never appear again in stuff set afterward. So even if the Amp puts him above Sonic in this game, it no longer applies. Kinda bummer. Afterwards, we have stuff that's not so iconic or relevant, so I just lumped all the post-generations stuff here. Sonic Forces has both Hedgehogs fight Infinite, and while Infinite beats Sonic and Shadow beat the piss out of Infinite, these can't be used, as the one Shadow fought was literally some rando who hadn't gotten his Phantom Ruby yet, which is the only thing that made him relevant. While Sonic eventually semi-surpasses the Infinite who initially beat him, saying he gets stronger every second when Infinite questions how he's so much stronger all of a sudden. Inconclusive, though Shadow lacks similar good statement. IDW published Sonic comics take place after Sonic Forces, and have few points of comparison between the two. Sonic and Shadow have few scuffles due to Sega literally mandating that Shadow act more like that inferior body bag, Vegeta. But all of them are interrupted or don't give us answers. However, when Sonic and Knuckles get bodied by Neo Metal Sonic's super form, Shadow is able to damage him out of nowhere. What the f***? This goes against what we know of super forms and is likely a huge outlier, but it happened. So Shadow's definitely portrayed stronger here. Things change to favor Sonic in the Metal Virus arc, where he is able to resist Zombat virus thanks to his speed, while Shadow gets f***ed up by it, despite his physiology being immune to most disease. That's Sonic's win. There are also instances of Shadow stalemating against weaker foes like Metal Sonic, while Sonic just keeps on improving, beating the likes of Surge, who was especially made to equal and surpass him. Sonic Prime is also apparently canon, which... whatever. I guess I have to talk about it. In this show, Sonic and Shadow do fight few times and face same foes, but again, all are inconclusive matches and who has the upper hand changes. Finally, let's talk about Sonic Frontiers, and this is gonna piss off some folks. Sonic is one of those characters that constantly gets stronger, and this game exemplifies that to a T. He develops all these new moves and stuff, and even achieves new level to his super form. Apparently having just Hypersonic over Shadow wasn't enough. Assuming Sonic was around Shadow's level at the time they fought in those IDW comics, he should absolutely wash now, at least if it was super on super fight, but good case can be made for base too, since Shadow only had arguments of surpassing Sonic's base via Doom powers or one outlier feat that the next arc debunks. Sonic wins.
Wait, stop! What about the inhibitor rings? If Shadow takes those off, Sonic's toast! Yeah.
The inhibitor rings. Who cares? Blow me, okay? Fine. Fine. If I have to address this point, if those overrated rings would have allowed Shadow to defeat Sonic in any of these circumstances I've mentioned, he would have f***ing used them, but he didn't. As a matter of fact, he took them off to stop Space Colony arc, and still performed way worse than Sonic, remember that? Sonic literally brings one of his rings back. Did ya think Shadow randomly dropped it? Those mofos come off only if he needs more power, in exchange of exhausting himself. As a matter of fact, what about all the shit Sonic has access to in all other full kit no holding back versus battles? He has way more super forms, some that don't even need rings to fuel them. He has elemental shields, items and all sorts of hacks that Shadow never gets. That f***er gets guns that in his very own game are canonically viewed as fodder. Even if we give Shadow his Doom power that he had only temporarily, it won't help here. Like, let's give Sonic his temporary power-ups, like Cyber Super Sonic. That thing is pretty much beyond anything in the games this far, as stated by the end. So get those Dragon Balls ready, because Shadow is dead! In summation, Sonic has won more often than he's lost, while overall the two's fights end most often ambiguously. So, consistently, Sonic has been portrayed to be stronger, while just as often, Shadow is very even with him and rarely can be argued to have been stronger. The reason why this fluctuates can be explained by both characters getting stronger from game to game.
As for who would win currently at the time of Sonic Frontiers, well, it's pretty obvious. Sonic, base to base or with full arsenals.
At least till the next game where Shadow will showcase himself to be on par again. The results are surprising to say the least, seeing how the rivalry was portrayed in the movie. So that's the video. Hope you liked it. Here's to a good year. Look forward to those Xenoblade Chronicles power scales coming soon. And here's to hoping that after the year of Shadow we just went through, that the year of Silver will happen sooner than in the far future. We can always dream of absolution.